Hello, everyone. I'm Greg Weaver. Welcome to the Audio Analyst. Pardon me. Today, I want to talk about the current state of the vinyl resurgence, covering its health and condition today, the ever-increasing number of choices we have to collect and acquire LPs, who is taking advantage of these options, and I will even present my take on the recent Mobile Fidelity digital LP mastering controversy. No, this will not be another screed on format superiority. I've done 8 episodes that deal directly with LP transcription here on the channel already, including one dedicated to the misconceptions some digital adherents mistakenly ascribe to the format. And my position is well known on this matter. And while I still prefer listening to vinyl for what I perceive as its more natural sounding and dimensionally replete sonic tapestry, as well as both its gratifying tactile experience and collectability, with the constantly increasing capabilities of digital playback, combined with the unparalleled convenience and diversity afforded by streaming services, I'm considerably more format agnostic than I have ever been. Now, while I wish everyone out there only the greatest pleasure and joy from listening to their favorite music, regardless of format, all I ask of you who prefer digital playback for whatever valid reasons is to simply stop pretending that LPs are not a high-resolution format. You don't need to try to justify your choice by fabricating excuses and falsely maligning the LP format. Just quit trying to dismiss or deny the indisputably high-resolution nature of LP playback and enjoy your music on whatever format you prefer. Now, when we look at LP record sales over the last year, 2021, the numbers are quite telling. The most recent survey by demographic of LP ownership I found came from research done by ICM Unlimited, the specialist social research and insight team at the UK's human understanding agency, Walnut Unlimited. Now, surprisingly to me at least, roughly 1/3 of all LPs are purchased by older millennials, people aged 25 to 34 years old. Surprising to me. Now, they didn't even share any statistical information on boomers my age. Their groupings stop with the 55 to 64-year-old age group. But looking at the Recording Industry Association of America's data, we see that revenues from paid streaming subscriptions by far continued to account for the largest share of music revenues, growing by 23% to $9.5 billion last year, and accounted for nearly 2/3 of all music revenues last year. They further report that revenues from digitally downloaded music were the only major category of recorded music sales that declined in 2021, down some 12% to just $587 million. And as such, downloads accounted for just 4% of the U.S. recorded music revenues in 2021, down from their peak of 43% of overall revenues back in 2012. Now, interestingly to me, for the first time since 1996, both vinyl records and CDs experienced revenue growth in the same year. Now, this continued resurgence in the vinyl record market marks the 15th consecutive year of growth, as revenues rose by an astounding 61% to $1 billion last year. Now, the last time vinyl records reached $1 billion in sales was in 1986, some 36 years ago. Now, while revenues from CDs rebounded from their strong decline in 2020 as a result of the COVID-19 lockdowns, significantly impacting retail sales and causing touring bands to suspend or cancel their live tours, In 2021, revenues from CDs grew 21% to $584 million, the first year-over-year increase in CD revenues since 2004. But what was really significant to me was that vinyl sales represented 63%, nearly two-thirds of all revenues from sales of physical music formats, including tape and optical discs, reaching 7% of the total music sales revenues. Now, as encouraging as these numbers are to an old analog hound like me, these numbers only represent the sales of new LPs. But in January of this year, Billboard magazine published that while 41.72 million new vinyl albums were sold in 2021, though they have no way of accurately tracking used record sales, they approximate that only 1 of every 3 LPs sold in the US was new. Now, if that's the case, this would imply that twice as many used LPs were sold as new records. All this information led me to wonder what, if any, growth the turntable market may have seen over this same period. Well, guess what? According to Statista.com, the number of turntables sold in the United States rose by nearly 10% last year. Overall, some 82,000 turntables were sold in 2021 compared to nearly 75,000 sold in 2020. That's fascinating to me. Now, as a regular buyer of both new releases and remasters, as well as of pre-owned collectible first releases and other sonically superior sounding pressings, as much as I try to support my local record retailer, their selection is severely limited. I also attend the South Bend Record Show, which is held every 3 months, with dozens of dealers from all over the region and thousands of LPs available. But for most of the pre-owned gems on my must-find list, I'm very pleased with my success rate at both finding the exact pressing I'm searching for and in the best condition on Discogs. And I will occasionally circumspectly use eBay. However, most all of my new purchases come from well-known, established vendors like Jim Davis's Music Direct, Chad Chasm's Acoustic Sounds, and Bob Bance's Elusive Disc. Now, as music lovers and audiophiles, we simply have to face it. Vinyl isn't just coming back, it's proven that it's here to stay. Not only are the sales growing steadily, but more new pressing plants are being built and coming online around the world to help meet this growing trend and demand. Press On Video hopes to press 50,000 records per month with their new plant in Middlesbrough in North Yorkshire, England. Now, the very successful Vinyl Me Please, VMP, a monthly record club and online retailer of LPs launched in 2013, has announced that they will be opening a 14,000 square foot audiophile grade pressing plant in Denver's River North Art District. Now, scheduled to open by the end of this year, music lovers will be able to tour the space and see firsthand how records are made. And this new VMP pressing plant will be led by the highly qualified Gary Salstrom, a man with over 40 years of record-making experience. Gary was the quality control and plating manager at Record Technologies, RTI, in Camarillo, California, for 21 years, beginning in 1989, then took over as plant manager at Quality Record Pressings, QRP, in Salina, Kansas, for another 11 years from 2010, until he made the move to VMP in January of this year. Then, too, California's long-established reissue label, Mobile Fidelity Sound Lab, or MoFi, in conjunction with Chicago-based Music Direct, is behind the new Fidelity record pressing plant set to open in Oxnard, California in 2023. With 8 new record presses coming from Nashville's record pressing machines, they hope to press 2 million records a year, with a strict focus on quality, not quantity, according to a Billboard press release. Now, the mentioning of Mobile Fidelity brings us to the recent digital LP mastering controversy they have been embroiled in. Now, it should be clear that this controversial issue cannot be defined as one simple singular matter. In fact, I see it as at least two distinct matters, each with differing levels of concern. First, there is the matter of what MoFi LP customers have taken as a betrayal of their trust, as though through the creative and ambiguous wording used describing how their long-standing, highly regarded and respected remastering of LPs, and in particular, the newer and very costly UltraDisc one-step premium reissues, were mastered and cut, people could easily assume that Mobile Fidelity was asserting that all these recordings were made following an all-analog process chain. The second part of this controversy is, to my mind and ears, the less egregious one. It is about the objective sonic quality of these touted reissued recordings. Now, I don't know about your experiences, but for the most part, the bulk of the litany of the MoFi LP catalog has proven to be exemplary. Now, while there are obviously exceptions within this specific catalog of releases, many of the LPs from this process represent the most authentic, dynamic, quiet, and or tonally faithful sounding LPs or optical discs, either CD and or SACD, releases of the titles they have chosen to reissue. Now, back after the 2008 Universal Studios fire, which some have suggested may have destroyed as many as 175,000 master tapes belonging to the Universal Music Group, combined with the more exacting changes made regarding practices on shipment of master tapes by record label tape vaults, most notably Sony's inflexible policy now refusing to ship master tapes. This forced recording engineers to have to make on-site transfers. Now, the dilemma with this new wrinkle was how to best retrieve the information from the original master with only the tools they could transport and use remotely. Without having access to the original master tape itself in their own fully equipped mastering studio, they had to investigate ways of making analog copies, experimenting with various tape stocks, and even at different speeds. But they soon discovered that there was no way to effectively overcome the noise floor disadvantages inherent when copying one analog tape to another. Now, this led to trials making a copy using direct stream digital encoding, or DSD, a format originally developed as an archival format and used for digitally encoding audio signals for the Super Audio compact disc format. Now, given its extremely high sampling rate, DSD is considered to be sonically transparent to its analog source and has an extremely low native noise floor. And according to Jim Davis, owner of Music Direct and Mobile Fidelity, this process immediately proved to be a vastly superior method for maximizing the retrieval of the wealth of information found on the original or safety masters they were working with than even the best tape-to-tape transfers could uncover. Now, given the perhaps counterintuitive results of this evaluation made by Mobile Fidelity mastering engineers, they adopted this method of capture, which they say yields clearly superior sonics when compared to a cut that is direct from an analog tape to the lathe. Regardless, MoFi should have openly addressed this New World master tape order, a position they could easily defend given the changed reality of the drastically more limited access to master tapes. They could have said that once being able to have the analog master tape on site to work with at their mastering studios had become completely impossible, and that making tape-to-tape transfers at the master tape vault was simply unsatisfactory, they had been forced to settle on what they felt was a more effective compromise, that of using DSD 64 transfers originally from 2011 to January of 2014, then moving to DSD 264. They could have stated that as a goal, they are dedicated to creating the best sounding media possible, regardless of whatever process is available to do so. They should have acknowledged that changed reality with the assurance that they would continue to craft the best sounding recordings they were able to produce, and simply ask that we, as music lovers and audiophiles, let our ears decide, that we should just listen to them and judge them on that merit, how they actually sound. Had they taken that bold and, to my way of thinking, much more realistic and responsible stance, instead of using effusive language to camouflage and obfuscate the truth in a way that would allow people to continue to believe that they were pledging that they always used a fully analog process with these reissues, all would have been right with the Mobile Fidelity and record-buying public universes. Now, only time will tell how Mobile Fidelity will weather this storm. I personally believe that after the initial backlash process, the existing library of recordings, as well as their future releases, will, like any product should, stand on their own merit. The fact is that while not every MoFi release is perfect, for the most part, the majority of the MoFi LPs in my collection sound remarkable. In fact, several of my early 1980s released MoFi UHQR titles are some of my most treasured LPs. And as an example, my UD1S of Santana's Abraxas is still one of the most remarkable sounding LPs I've ever heard, sounding as close to a master tape played back as any record in my collection. Yes, this clearly represents a black eye from Mobile Fidelity, but in no time that discoloration will fade, and I suspect most music lovers will not give it a second thought. Just my 2 cents. Thank you for taking the time to drop by today. Please click the subscribe and notify buttons if you haven't already. Be sure to share your comments and questions. And please don't forget to like and share links to your favorite episodes with your friends or on social media. Further information on supporting my channel may be found in today's description section or at my website, theaudioanalyst.com. Please stay safe and keep the music playing. Till next time, cheers.